The biggest scandal of the 2025 triathlon season probably happened here in Dubai at the T100. We had the big guys Martin van Riel, Mika Noot and Hayden Wild alongside many other people on the start line. And I want to start by looking at the bike course for this race. We had 14.1 kilometers leading us onto a circuit, very technical circuit with 8 total laps. 8.27 kilometers per lap. Keep those distances in mind. They will become important later on. So counting will obviously be really important in this one. We already been here in 2024, granted a bit of a different bike course, but the race went smoothly overall. And the reason I'm making this video now is because we're now 2 weeks apart from this race. So we've had a lot of time to discuss, to look at the tape again, and for athletes to make their statements. We had the CEO of the Professional Triathletes Organization make a statement. We had every athlete make a statement, mostly via Instagram. And we have a lot of new information that has come to light. And we start after 8 laps of the bike course with Hayden Wild going into transition, or what he should have done, but he didn't. And we're going to look at the statement of many athletes here, including this one from Hayden Wild. Obviously, it's on his Instagram as well. And the first thing I want to talk about are the distances. He said a big factor why he didn't go into transition is because he wasn't sure, and by looking at his bike computer, he realized that he had only completed 76k. He said that during the race, and Martin van Riel posted the same thing on Instagram as well. So he decides to go for one more lap, but the numbers, they simply don't add up, because add 8 to 76 and you've got 84k. So he could have known that even while doing another lap, it's not the right thing, and he could have moved into transition, but he didn't. Split second decisions, all that, you can kind of understand it. Ultimately, it's the athlete's fault. And right here after this corner, you see Hayden talking to somebody, asking how many laps are left. And initially, I interpreted this sign, this finger right here, as Hayden telling him, okay, we have one more lap. But Hayden actually asked and made sure, okay, one more lap, pointing up the finger. And the problem for Martin was, which he also described in his statement, he asked an official, okay, how many laps are left? And he was told one more lap. And I can kind of understand both perspectives here. As an official, you see the motorbikes and 2 of the first guys move on for another lap. You're probably not sure, and you should not advise any athlete about the lap count if you're not 100% sure. But still, if you see the lead group go for another lap and the third athlete asks, I can understand that people tell the third athlete, okay, you need to do one more lap. The thing is, Martin probably shouldn't have listened to this athlete, and we all know it's still the fault of the athletes, because they need to count. If this is the right thing, maybe not. We've had discussions about this over the last weeks. In professional sports, you maybe could think about doing a lap count or helping the athletes at least, but with the rules as they are now, it is the athlete's responsibility to count. Everybody acknowledged that, and so that's the first really important thing to understand with this incident here. The athletes were at fault, but the official telling them, okay, you have one more lap, and the confusion all around it probably didn't help it. Now, the next thing I want to talk about are the distances, because they do not add up. They said it was 76k for Hayden and for Martin as well. But the problem is, and I checked multiple times, we look at the distances again from the official profile, 14.1k leading us to an 8-kilometer circuit with 8.27 kilometers per lap. We calculate this and we come to 8.26 kilometers per lap, and these numbers, they do not add up. How do you lose 4 kilometers? The best thing is the PTO knew about this, because in the athlete briefing before the race, they told the athletes, okay, the distances are a bit shorter. Now, the numbers flying around here, I'm not exactly sure. I heard 76k from some people that they were told. Other people told that it was actually 78k, but the athletes were told, they were briefed pre-race, that the course is a bit too short. But how then, this in the official profile, do we have 4 kilometers more? It's a bit of a weird one, and I think as the PTO, you really need to understand and figure out how you can lose 4 kilometers, because that really cannot happen. This almost concludes the bike part of this entire story, but I want to talk about one more thing really quickly, because Hayden, when he came out of the race over the finish line, he said that transition was actually blocked. I heard that from multiple people, and we rewatched the tape here. Transition is definitely not blocked. We even see a person here at the barriers, and this person is flagging the dismount line. So transition is nowhere near blocked. You'll see another perspective right now. Everything empty. Hayden could have gone in there. And these statements, they're a bit of a danger one, because I think, of course, everybody is frustrated, but this is like adding fuel to a fire. If you say something that is obviously wrong, as an athlete, as a professional, as also a big voice that Hayden is, he should have communicated better. He could have communicated differently. It happened how it happened, but we need to make sure we get the facts right. And the fact is that there was no person directly flagging the athletes in, but there was a person at the dismount line, and there was definitely nobody that stood in transition so the athletes couldn't move in. But now we move on to the run, the second part of this entire drama, and we have another layer coming in right here, the lap count. There's an official lap count, and we see this right here. And on it, we see the name and the number of the athletes. I unfortunately couldn't find a full picture where we saw all the data that was supplied there, but we know that this thing wasn't working. They had some sort of technical difficulty, the PTO, and only they know what exactly went wrong, but this thing was showing the wrong numbers. And this led to Morgan Pearson is in the lead, and we see run lap 7 of 8 on the top, and suddenly it changes. Distance to finish is now 1.2 kilometers, and this is not true. If you have over 1 lap left on this course, the distance is more than 1.2 kilometers, and I said the run timing was off. The ticker just decided to do this for whatever reason, and suddenly we are in the last lap, T100 final lap on the bottom of your screen. But Morgan Pearson doesn't know this, only the system knows this. And again, you have an outside entity telling the athletes something when actually something else is true. And the athlete has now to decide, do I follow this outside entity or do I follow my feeling, my watch, whatever? And right here, I think he looks at the run screen, at the timing, and he makes the decision. You see him here. I think he's visibly confused, obviously, and you see him, okay, I'll continue for 1 more lap. And he does the right thing because the run ticker is off. But unfortunately, or fortunately, Mika Noth follows the run ticker. He thinks, okay, this outside entity, it tells me I'm done. I am the first guy over the finish line now, but I'm actually not. What is going on? Again, obviously, nobody knew. And Hayden Wild, as he came in, he also didn't know. Again, it is really, really difficult in this case because this run ticker, it is faulty, but you need to have somebody there who can manually change, override, or also correct the system. I think it absolutely cannot happen that you have a faulty lap timer and so athletes move in 1 lap too early to the finish, because again, this is elite level sports, this is the highest level of triathlon, and this absolutely shouldn't happen. Hayden Wild obviously pissed for a good reason, but I think he also overdid it a bit. And I want to talk about something else here. Who is actually in the right or in the wrong here? Again, we see Morgan Pearson coming in. He's just now coming into the finish and thinking, what the hell is going on? But who is in the right and who is in the wrong here? In my opinion, it's very clear. The athlete, it's their responsibility. And if some outside person says, okay, you have 1 more lap to go, then it's their fault if they listen to this person. But right here, you have something that seems an official timing being off, and I probably would have followed the official timing as well. I would have second guessed myself and I would have thought, okay, if the official timing tells me to come in now, I come in. I respect Morgan Pearson. He went for 1 more lap. I definitely wouldn't have done it. Only 4 people out of the 20 athletes did it. The aftermath obviously was they decided to take the results of the end of lap 7 of 8, so the end of what I just showed you with Pearson continuing for his last lap. And I think it's right. You know, obviously it's difficult, but it's an official timing thing being wrong compared to 3 athletes that Hayden didn't know what lap he was on. Morgan Pearson clearly knew what lap he was on, and so he would have been robbed. Obviously, they voted on it. I think the T100 made the best out of a very bad decision. That's also what many of the athletes said. This shouldn't happen again. This cannot happen again. In the women's race, they had a person manually showing the women how many laps they had left. So they immediately made an improvement decision afterwards to change something, to override the system, which is right. Again, they need to learn from this. It cannot be that something like this is faulty and athletes rely on it. But overall, I think The T100 managed it as well as could be. Obviously, very unfortunate incident, but now I think you know a bit more about what exactly happened, about all the different perspectives. I tried to put it in one video. There's also going to be one more short about this because I have one other thing that I wanted to do a little rule out, so this short will come out tomorrow. As always, I would love to hear from you, get your opinion on this entire thing, who was in the wrong, who was in the right, and also what should change here. What should the PTO, what should the athletes, what should the World Triathlon do in order to not have this happen again? Leave a like, subscribe as well if you don't want to miss any further triathlon content, and I'll see you with the next one. Bye bye.